2024 was the first year of a 5-year plan that I had created for myself at the end of 2023. Prior to dreaming up this plan, I only had 2 major goals, one being to complete my PhD and the second one being to become a professor. And I had completed both of those goals in 2021, to which I then spent 2022 and 2023 acclimating to my post-grad professor life. And so at the end of 2023, I sat down with myself and brainstormed my next set of goals, and then I set up a weekly system that I would use in order to accomplish these goals. And if you've never watched any of my planning videos before, I will give you a quick rundown of what my long-term goals are. My first goal is to become an established writer and researcher in the field of children's literature, so both on the academic side as well as on the creative writing side. I also want to become an influential researcher and writer within the field of girlhood studies, which is my disciplinary intersection. My second goal is to become proficient in Korean, and so I'm actually going to do a separate video about why I am pursuing Korean proficiency and how my journey has unfolded thus far, so stay tuned for that. My third goal is to produce content for social media, specifically for YouTube. Fun fact, there was actually a time in elementary school when I wanted to grow up to become a cameraman. I had been a part of the AV club that had produced our school's morning announcements, and I loved being behind the camera as well as being a part of the production team. And also there was a time in college when I had been interning with a student-run news program. I had been studying journalism at the time, and I wanted to become a reporter and news anchor. All that to say is that creating content for YouTube has allowed me to live out this unrealized childhood dream. And that's why succeeding on YouTube had made it onto my 5-year plan list. And then my last goal is to develop a solid reading practice that will enhance both my research as well as my creative work. So between January 1st and December 31st, I spent 1,401 hours going after my long-term goals. That breaks down to 35 weeks of working 8-hour days, which means that if pursuing my goals was my full-time job, I will have spent 67% of the work year going after these goals. So yes, as you can imagine, I am in desperate need of a nap, but before I take my nap, I am going to break down those hours and share with you what the outcomes were, and then share with you what my plans are moving forward for 2025. So in 2024, I spent 468 hours and 45 minutes novel writing, 278 hours and 45 minutes doing my academic writing, 175 hours and 30 minutes reading novels, 46 hours and 15 minutes reading academic text, 75 hours and 30 minutes writing my social media scripts, 205 hours and 50 minutes editing content for social media, 125 hours and 15 minutes doing my self-study Korean learning, and then 25 hours of my Korean language learning classes. My most productive week of the year was July 8th through the 14th, where I spent 40 hours and 15 minutes towards my goals. And my least productive week was December 2nd through 8th because it was the last week of classes, and honestly, by the end of the year, I was already so burnt out. That week, I had only spent 10 hours and 45 minutes going after my goals. Now, let's talk about outcomes. Regarding my novel writing, the biggest outcome is that I finished a first draft of my contemporary YA novel. And if you haven't watched the video about my process, I will also link that video in the description box below. So those total hours also include the beginning of 2 other novels. I had been writing 3 novels simultaneously at the beginning of the year. One was my YA contemporary novel. The second one was a magical realism middle grade novel. And the third was an adult romance novel. Regarding my academic writing and research, I gave a research presentation at UCR in January. I gave another research presentation at AAAS in April. I chaired 2 panels at PAMLA in November. I also published 2 academic book reviews. I submitted an article for publication, and I applied for one of my college's grants and won. Lastly, I finished the introduction of my academic monograph, and I am now a third of the way towards completing the first chapter. That was a lot. As for my novel reading this year, I read 25 novels. 20 were young adult novels, 4 were middle grade novels, and 1 new adult memoir. And this is on top of the dozens of picture books that I read that I don't count towards my novel reading. I did create a mid-year recap video. I will also make sure to link that in the description box below. Next month, I do plan on releasing the second half of that year in review recap, discussing the books that I had read from July to December, so also make sure to look out for that. As for my academic reading, I read 5 academic books and dozens of academic articles that apparently I did not keep track of. Now, for social media, I posted 118 times on Instagram and have gained 70 new followers this year. Thank you for following me. I currently have 281 followers. So if you're not following me on Instagram, what are you waiting for? My original goal was to post 4 times a week in order to gain 500 followers, but I could not keep up with that posting schedule, let alone ethically control how many followers that I received. So my average posting schedule was about 2.5 to 3 times a week with a steady gain of followers, which honestly I think is way more better and much more sustainable for me. As for YouTube, I posted 16 videos and gained 229 subscribers. I now have nearly 1,300 views and I'm close to 700 watch hours. Nicely done, Dr. Daily Knows Kid Lit on YouTube. I currently have 352 subscribers, so if you're not subscribed, you already know what to do. I should also say that the content creation hours that I mentioned earlier do not include filming, so I would probably need to add about 50 more hours to that tally in order to make it a little bit more accurate. I only record the amount of time that I edit as well as the amount of time that I am scripting. Now, as for my Korean language proficiency, I wanted to develop an A1 level by the end of 2024, but according to the amount of hours that I spent doing my self-study, as well as the amount of hours that I was in my Korean language learning class, I'm technically at the A2 level. I did take a free online test that allowed me to sort of kind of see which level I am at, and according to that test, I am a high A2, low B1. So that means I ended 2024 one level above what I had originally anticipated. And so looking at all that I have accomplished this year, I would definitely say that it was a really successful first year of my 5-year plan. And in order to be successful in year 2, I need to keep the momentum going. So here are my plans for 2025. So regarding my novel writing, I want to be querying my novel by the end of 2025, and I want to start book 2, at least drafting and outlining book 2 this summer. As of recording this video, I've already started the 75 Hard for Writers Challenge, and that has been going really great as well. For my novel reading, I do plan on keeping up what I'm essentially doing, my current pacing, which is about 2 novels a month. For the academic writing, I was actually supposed to finish this article in December. I have not. So I've given myself to the end of February to finish this next article and be able to submit that, to which I will then start my next article this summer, which means I should have 2 articles submitted by the end of 2025. I will also be working on chapters 1, 2, and 4 of my academic monograph and should have all of those chapters completed by the end of this year. I am skipping over chapter 3 for now and have postponed writing it until 2026 because there's some more research that I need to get done in order to complete writing that chapter. I will also be giving 3 research presentations and 1 teacher's workshop this year. I don't plan on presenting at any conferences since I am currently booked up on commission presentations so far. Regarding my academic reading, I do have a list of books that I want to read. I just haven't figured out what it is that I want to read versus what I actually need to read for my research. I'm currently reading Catherine Capshaw's Civil Rights Childhood. It is so good. I highly recommend it if you are invested in children's literature or interested in the different kinds of ways in which children's literature had a civil rights agenda. Okay, so as for social media, I plan on keeping my current posting schedule, which is about 2 to 3 times on Instagram and once a month on YouTube. Now, as for Korean, my hope is to develop a B1 level by the end of 2025. I will be taking the topic, which is the Korean language proficiency exam this July, and that will provide me with an official record of where my language learning level is so far. I will continue to do my daily self-study as well as meeting with my Korean tutor twice a month. And that's it. That is my recap of 2024 and my goals for 2025. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.